A significant diplomatic move. President Cyril Ramaphosa, has appointed former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas as South Africa's special envoy to the United States. For more on the president's thinking, we're joined now by Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya. It's great to have you on the line, sir. Thanks for coming on. Our political editor calls it an inspired decision by the president. Tell us more about President Cyril Ramaphosa's thinking here.
Well, good day, Michelle, and good day to your viewers. Obviously, Michelle, yourself and the viewers will know that this appointment has been made against a backdrop of a diplomatic impasse currently with the United States, as well as the sort of urgent need for us to resolve that impasse. And so the president opted for a special envoy that will report directly to him whilst working closely with Minister Tau and Minister Lamola in their respective portfolios. The advantage being that a special envoy doesn't have to deal with the sort of bureaucratic burden that ambassadors often have to deal with prior to being able to officially conduct their duties in a host country. And so this appointment reflects the sense of urgency as well as the president's commitment in resetting the relationship with the United States, which you'll also know is historic and has been a strategic relationship and remains a strategic relationship, notwithstanding the current difficulties that we face at the moment.
And what is it about Mcebisi Jonas, Mr. Magwenya, that tells the president that he is the right person for the job that you've just described?
Well, he brings into the role an enormous amount of political leadership experience, having served as the Deputy Minister of Finance. He is very familiar with the kind of geopolitical issues that are currently at play, equally familiar with our economic and particularly trade interest with the U.S. Having served in government, he went on to serve in the private sector. Currently, he is the independent chairman of the MTN Group, which is a multinational company that, again, engages at various levels of government and political leadership in the different countries it operates. And so he brings in that required level of stature, experience, as well as political gravitas into the role.
We saw over the weekend President Donald Trump, the U.S. president, tweeting about whether indeed he will come to the Heads of State Summit for the G20 in November here in South Africa, where our country will officially hand over the reins to the U.S. And, you know, we're talking about the kind of diplomacy now where Mcebisi Jonas needs to get access to the people that can facilitate these difficult conversations with Donald Trump. The big question is the U.S. president open to having these conversations? And if so, is the president giving Mcebisi Jonas sort of a list of tasks that need to be managed over the course of the next weeks, the first of which might even be a goer?
Indeed. Mr. Jonas is going to have quite a long list of tasks to fulfill in terms of enabling the resetting of the bilateral relationship, creating a conducive environment for engagements on a trade bilateral front. But I think what is important with your question, Michelle, is that we saw that post that you referenced. We've had somewhat tempered our expectations with respect to President Trump attending the Heads of State Summit. However, we're still hopeful that these engagements that Mr. Jonas is going to kickstart will assist in creating a better, or in forging rather, a better environment of mutual understanding in terms of the issues at hand. But more importantly, getting us to a point where the narratives coming out of the United States are better informed than they currently are. So we are already working with various U.S. officials in terms of the G20. As you know, they're part of the Troika, which consists of the previous chair, the current chair, as well as incoming chair, being the U.S. There were U.S. officials that attended both the meetings of the ministers of finance as well as foreign ministers. There are engagements taking place at an embassy level here in Pretoria. So we remain hopeful that we will be able to reset the relationship. We are excited at the opportunity arising out of a trade deal proposal that the DTIC is putting together. And we think once those processes have run their course, we will be able to then reference a relationship that is on a much better footing than it currently is.
I mean, fair to say, Mr. Magwenya, relations are at an all-time low. They are incredibly frosty, and I think that's perhaps putting it mildly. How concerned is President Ramaphosa, and how much urgency is there from the president? Obviously, there is some urgency with the appointment of Mr. Jonas, but how concerned is President Ramaphosa today?
As you have seen in the president's statement, the president is really committed in rebuilding and maintaining this strategic relationship with the U.S. in the interest of our country as well as the region and also our continent. And the president is going to remain dedicated at ensuring that we are able to reset the relationship. There is obviously a lot that is at stake, and therefore the sense of urgency is there, and the commitment is there, as evidenced by this appointment, and the fact that Mr. Jonas will be reporting directly to the president. He is going to receive, and he has already received, some marching orders directly from the president, and there will be further engagements between him and the president on specifics around how to enable this resetting of the relationship.
Vincent Magwenya, thanks very much for your time. The Presidency spokesperson joining us there as we continue to unpack the appointment of Mcebisi Jonas as Special Envoy to the United States. I've got his press statement here in front of me, and part of what he says is that there are no quick fixes in such a complex situation. I appeal that in the national interest, South Africans exercise patience and allow us time and space to engage fully with different stakeholders in the US and in South Africa.